Most men over 60 have been told the same quiet lie, that losing your erections, your desire, even your sense of masculinity is just part of aging. But what if I told you that what you're experiencing is not simply time taking its toll? It's your blood flow slowing down, your hormones shifting, and your daily habits quietly working against you. Because the truth is, many men don't lose their performance overnight. They lose it slowly, piece by piece, until one day they no longer feel like themselves. I've sat across from men who didn't just feel physical changes, but something deeper. A loss of confidence, a distance in their relationships, a silent fear they could never quite put into words. And yet, in many of those cases, the cause was not permanent damage. It was something far more fixable. I'm Dr. James, a urologist with over 30 years of experience, and I can tell you this with certainty. Your body is still capable of responding if you give it the right signals. Sometimes, the problem starts with something as simple as what you eat in the morning. Foods you've trusted for years, now quietly disrupting your circulation and your prostate. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what those foods are. And we're starting with the one nearly every man thinks is helping him. 1. High sugar. Healthy fruits and juices are quietly weakening your blood flow. It usually starts with something small, something that feels harmless. A glass of orange juice in the morning, a banana smoothie because you've been told it's good for your heart. Most men never question it, but over time, this simple habit can quietly interfere with one of the most important systems in your body, your blood flow. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. When you drink fruit juice or consume too much high-sugar fruit at once, your blood sugar rises quickly. That spike triggers insulin. And when insulin stays elevated over time, it reduces your body's ability to produce nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is what allows your blood vessels to relax and open. Without it, circulation becomes restricted. And an erection, at its core, is simply blood flow. If the blood can't flow in fully, it can't stay. That's when you start noticing weaker erections, difficulty maintaining them, or that frustrating inconsistency that seems to come out of nowhere. But it doesn't stop there. High blood sugar also irritates the bladder and increases urine production. That's why many men who follow these healthy habits begin waking up 2, sometimes 3 times a night. You lose sleep, you feel more tired during the day, your testosterone drops further. And slowly, it all begins to connect. I remember a patient, Michael, 66 years old. Every morning, without fail, he drank a large fruit smoothie. He told me, "Doctor, I've been doing this for years. It's healthy." But he came in because his erections were becoming unreliable, and he was waking up constantly at night. When we looked deeper, his blood sugar patterns told the real story. We didn't remove fruit completely, we simply changed how he consumed it. Whole fruits instead of juice. Smaller portions, balanced with protein. Within weeks, his sleep improved. Within months, his confidence began to return. This is not your body failing. This is your body reacting. And when you change the signal, the response changes too. So if this sounds familiar, start simple. Cut back on fruit juices. Avoid stacking multiple high-sugar fruits together. Choose whole fruits, in moderation. Give your blood vessels a chance to recover. Because what feels like a small daily habit can quietly shape your performance more than you realize. And what's even more surprising is that the next healthy food many men turn to, thinking it protects their heart, may actually be lowering their testosterone without them ever noticing. 2. Soy and processed plant-based foods may be quietly lowering your testosterone. Most men I meet never suspect this one. They switch to soy milk, plant-based protein bars, or meat substitutes because they want to eat cleaner, protect their heart, maybe even lose a little weight. It feels like a smart move, but what they don't realize is that some of these foods can quietly shift their hormonal balance in the wrong direction. Let me explain this in a simple way. Your body runs on signals. One of the most important for male vitality is testosterone. It drives your desire. It supports erection strength. It even plays a role in how your prostate functions. Now, certain processed soy products contain compounds that act like weak forms of estrogen in the body. On their own, they may not seem powerful. But over time, Especially in men over 60 whose testosterone is already declining, this creates an imbalance, and when that balance shifts, your body feels it. You may notice it gradually. Less interest in intimacy, erections that feel softer or harder to maintain, a drop in energy, even subtle mood changes, less drive, less confidence. Some men also report increased urinary symptoms because hormonal balance plays a role in how the prostate behaves and how smoothly urine flows. I remember a patient named Thomas, 71. After a minor health scare, he decided to completely clean up his diet. He replaced most of his protein with soy-based products. Soy shakes in the morning, plant-based meats at lunch and dinner. He told me he was doing everything right, but a few months later, he came in and said something that stuck with me. "Doctor, I don't feel like myself anymore." His labs showed his testosterone had dropped noticeably, nothing extreme, but enough to affect how he felt every day. We didn't need to overhaul his entire diet. We simply reduced the reliance on processed soy foods and brought back a more balanced mix of whole protein sources. Within a couple of months, his energy improved, his desire returned, and most importantly, his sense of self came back. This is the part I want you to hear clearly. This is not permanent. Your body is responsive. When you correct the imbalance, it begins to adjust. So if you're relying heavily on soy or processed plant-based foods, start by moderating them. Focus on variety. Choose whole, minimally processed proteins. Give your hormones a chance to stabilize again. Because what seems like a heart-healthy decision can quietly affect your masculinity in ways no one warns you about. And what's even more surprising, the next healthy staple sitting in your kitchen right now may be increasing inflammation and restricting your circulation without you ever realizing it. 3. Whole grains and high-fiber foods may be increasing hidden inflammation. This is the one that confuses almost every man I speak with. You've been told for years, switch to whole grains, eat more fiber, choose whole wheat over white bread. And for a younger body, that advice can work well. But after 60, your metabolism changes, your sensitivity to certain foods shifts, and what once helped you can start quietly working against you. Here's what I want you to understand. Many processed whole grain products, like cereals, breads, and crackers, break down into sugar faster than you think. Not as fast as candy, but fast enough to raise your blood sugar. And just like we talked about earlier, those repeated spikes reduce nitric oxide. That means your blood vessels don't relax the way they should. Circulation becomes tighter, slower, less responsive, and that affects erections directly. But there's another layer most men never hear about. Some of these foods can also trigger low-grade inflammation in the body. You won't feel it immediately. There's no sharp pain, but over time, that inflammation affects your blood vessels and even the area around your prostate. When that happens, you may notice a weaker urine stream, a feeling that you're not fully emptying your bladder, more frequent trips at night. I had a patient, Leonard, 69, very disciplined, every morning, bran cereal, whole wheat toast, no junk food at all. Yet he came to me frustrated, low energy, poor sleep, weaker erections, and increasing urinary issues. He kept saying, "I'm doing everything right." And in many ways, he was, but his body was no longer responding the same way. We made a few simple adjustments, reduced the processed grain products, added more stable, whole food carbohydrates, balanced his meals with protein and healthy fats. Within a few weeks, his energy improved. Within a couple of months, his nighttime urination decreased, and his confidence started to return. This is not about eliminating all grains. It's about understanding how your body responds now, not how it responded 20 years ago. So if you're relying heavily on cereals, breads, and processed high-fiber foods, start by simplifying. Cut back on the processed versions. Pay attention to how you feel after eating. Your body will tell you. Because sometimes the foods you trust the most are the ones quietly slowing your system down. And what's coming next may surprise you even more, because it's not just what you eat, but how much hidden salt is sitting inside the foods you thought were safe, and what that's doing to your blood vessels and your prostate every single night. 4. High-sodium, healthy packaged foods are damaging your blood vessels and prostate. This one hides in plain sight. Foods that say low-fat, heart-friendly, or light often feel like safe choices. Canned soups, frozen meals, even certain crackers and snacks. They don't taste overly salty, they don't feel heavy, but underneath, they carry a level of sodium your body struggles to handle, especially after 60. Here's what that does inside you. Sodium pulls water into your bloodstream. That increases pressure in your blood vessels. Over time, that constant pressure damages the delicate inner lining of those vessels. They become stiffer, less responsive. And when blood vessels can't relax properly, blood flow slows down. And again, erection is not just desire, it's circulation. If the blood can't move freely, the response becomes weaker, slower, less reliable. But there's another effect many men don't connect. High sodium also affects your fluid balance. It increases the amount of fluid your body holds, and eventually tries to release. That's why so many men start waking up at night. Once, twice, sometimes 3 or 4 times. Your sleep gets interrupted. Your body doesn't fully recover, and when sleep drops, testosterone drops with it. Then everything begins to stack. Lower energy, weaker erections, more fatigue. I remember a patient named Carl, 74, lived alone, simple routine. He relied on canned soups and frozen meals because they were easy. He told me, "Doctor, I'm eating light. I'm not overeating." But he came in exhausted, waking up constantly, struggling with both urination and erections. When we checked his blood pressure, it was elevated. His circulation was clearly affected. We didn't make extreme changes. We started small, swapped out high-sodium foods for lower-sodium versions, added fresh meals a few times a week. Within weeks, he noticed fewer nighttime trips. Within a couple of months, his energy improved. And slowly, his confidence began to come back. This is what I want you to understand. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness. Your body is reacting to what you give it every day. So if your diet includes a lot of packaged or canned foods, start by checking the labels. Choose lower sodium options. Rinse canned foods when you can. Give your blood vessels a chance to recover. Because what feels convenient today may be quietly draining your performance at night. And what we're about to talk about next is even more overlooked, because it comes from foods many men grew up believing were essential for strength, yet they may be slowly stiffening your blood vessels and limiting your circulation over time. 5. Excess dairy and saturated fats are slowly stiffening your blood vessels. This is one of the hardest truths for many men to accept, because these are foods they've trusted their entire lives. Milk in the morning, cheese with meals, butter on toast. It feels normal, familiar, even comforting. But after 60, your body doesn't process these the same way anymore. And over time, they can begin to quietly affect your circulation. Let me explain this in a simple way. Your blood vessels need to stay flexible. They need to expand easily to allow strong, steady blood flow. That's especially important for erections, because an erection depends entirely on how well blood can enter and stay in the penile tissue. Now, when your diet is consistently high in saturated fats, your blood vessels can gradually become less flexible. A bit stiffer, a bit narrower. Not enough to notice right away, but enough to change how your body responds. And when that happens, you start to see the signs. Erections that aren't as firm as they used to be, difficulty maintaining them, less spontaneous response. At the same time, reduced circulation can also affect the prostate area, leading to more discomfort, more pressure, and sometimes more frequent urination, especially at night. I remember a patient named Robert, 70. He wasn't overweight, he didn't eat fast food, but he had a routine: milk every morning, cheese with almost every meal. He told me, "Doctor, this is how I've eaten my whole life." But he came in because his erections had become weaker and he was waking up more often at night. When we looked deeper, his circulation markers were starting to decline. We didn't remove everything. That's important. We reduced, we adjusted. Swapped some of those foods for healthier fats, olive oil, nuts, lighter options. Within weeks, his energy improved. Within a couple of months, he noticed stronger, more reliable performance. This is what I want you to understand. Your body is not broken, it's responding. And when you give it better conditions, it responds differently. So start simple. Cut back on heavy dairy, reduce saturated fats. Replace them with lighter, more supportive choices. You don't need extremes, just awareness. Because sometimes the foods that feel the most familiar are the ones quietly slowing your system down. And what we're about to talk about next may be the most overlooked of all. Foods that are marketed as healthy, sitting right on store shelves, but filled with hidden compounds that can disrupt your hormones, your blood flow, and your prostate without you ever realizing it. 6. Processed, healthy foods with hidden additives are disrupting your entire system. This is the one almost no one sees coming. Foods labeled low-fat, high-protein, heart-healthy, or fortified. Protein bars, breakfast cereals, packaged snacks. They look clean, they sound safe, but many of them contain hidden additives your body doesn't handle well. Especially after 60. Let me break this down simply. These foods often contain preservatives, artificial flavorings, and compounds like phosphates that are added to extend shelf life or improve texture. On the surface, they seem harmless, but inside your body, they can create stress. They can interfere with how your blood vessels function. They can disrupt how your body uses hormones like testosterone. And over time, they contribute to low-grade inflammation, the kind you don't feel immediately, but that slowly affects your circulation and your prostate. And when circulation is affected, erections suffer. When hormones are disrupted, desire fades. When inflammation builds around the prostate, you may notice more pressure, more urgency, more trips to the bathroom at night. It all connects, even if it doesn't seem obvious at first. I remember a patient named Steven, 68, very health conscious, always reading labels, but his diet was full of packaged, healthy foods. Protein bars between meals, fortified cereals in the morning, low-fat snacks throughout the day. He came to me with fatigue, declining libido, and worsening urinary symptoms. He kept saying, "I don't understand. I'm eating clean." But when we looked closer, the pattern became clear. It wasn't just what he was eating, it was how processed it was. We made one simple shift. We reduced those packaged foods and focused more on real, whole ingredients. Foods that didn't need labels to explain what they were. Within weeks, his energy improved. Within a couple of months, his symptoms began to ease, and most importantly, he started to feel like himself again. This is what I want you to take with you. Your body recognizes real food. It knows how to respond to it. But when you constantly feed it processed signals, it adapts in ways that don't support your vitality. So start here. Read labels. If you see long lists of unfamiliar ingredients, take a step back. Choose simpler options. Whole foods. Fresh meals when possible. Because sometimes the biggest problem isn't what you're eating, it's what's been added to it. And now that you've seen how these healthy foods can quietly affect your blood flow, your hormones, and your prostate, let's bring this all together and talk about what this really means for your body, your confidence, and your future moving forward. 7. Conclusion. The future of your strength is still in your hands. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive, not weaker, more responsive to what you do every single day. What you've seen today is not about fear, but awareness. The same foods that once felt safe can now quietly affect your blood flow, your hormones, and your prostate in ways you may not notice until it's too late. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to. Decline is not automatic. It's often the result of patterns that can be changed. If you begin making small, intentional adjustments today, your body can respond within months. In 1 year, your energy, your sleep, your confidence can feel different. In 3 to 5 years, you could either be managing worsening symptoms or living with strength, clarity, and control. This is your moment to choose, not perfectly, but consciously, because the future of your health is not decided by age alone, it's shaped by what you do next.